It's a great time to be a Republican governor in America. Next year, there will be 31 of them, and this week they're partying at a luxury seaside resort in Boca Raton, Florida. More than anything, it's time for a bunch of them to jockey for position in the 2016 presidential nominating contest. And the best way to do that is to talk about yourself as if you're applying for a job. For example, here's Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker.
A lot of people talk to me here and elsewhere, and a lot of interest, mainly because not only have I won 3 times in 4 years, which is unprecedented, but even more so because of what we faced. I was the #1 target in America in the 2014 election. All the unions made me their #1 top target nationally. We faced the president, Clinton, all these other surrogates came in, and yet we won convincingly by almost 6 points in a state that hasn't gone Republican for president since I was in high school.
To be fair, we asked Governor Walker to tout his bona fides, but as you can see, he wasn't too shy about doing it. So the question here, Mark, is among all the potential Republican 2016ers gathering in Boca, who's in the best position to emerge from the pack? And for my money, I think it's John Kasich. I've said this before, won this re-election in Ohio, maybe the most important state in the country in terms of the Electoral College, won it by 31 points. Scott Walker won 3 elections in Wisconsin by narrow margins. John Kasich's now won 2 elections in Ohio by pretty healthy margins, and he did it in a convincing and different way by attracting a lot of voters that don't normally vote Republican.
I do think Kasich's a big player. I'll tell you the 2 I think I'd watch there, and I'll be there tomorrow. There's a few public meetings. There are tons of private meetings with donors. The Republican donor community, as you and I have discussed, is looking for a candidate. Jeb Bush isn't there. Mitt Romney isn't there. This is Chris Christie's opportunity to consolidate with those people through presentations, face-to-face contact, all the stuff he did running the RGA for this cycle. I think it's a big moment for him to leave there with some actual chits from people to collect. He's got a ton of staff with him. The other person's Mike Pence. I'm hearing more and more from donors who are wondering, is Pence maybe the alternative? If it's not Christie, if Jeb Bush doesn't run, if Romney's not real, if Kasich turns out to not be what they want, is Pence someone they'd look at? So I think those 2 guys have a lot on the line there.
Yeah.
And Christie can leave stronger, substantially stronger, I think, than anybody else if he does this right.
You know what I'm a little surprised by is that Bobby Jindal in Louisiana is someone who I think, who we both think is a really smart guy. We know him, and yet he really is nowhere right now in terms of how Republican elites look at this race. He's obviously going to run. He's really teeing himself up to do it, but he's really making no impression whatsoever. I think he could be heading for a quite embarrassing showing if he does decide to run.
I think he's got the opportunity for a second act. He's a better performer than people remember him from that horrible State of the Union response. I think he needs some dynamic moment of kind of truth and humanity, and he can get in this. But right now, I agree with you. He's not considered somebody a lot of donors are talking about.
He's on the road to being, I think, perhaps the Tim Pawlenty of 2016.